If you're a musician, then you're likely also often taking a gander at what places like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace have on offer, sometimes multiple times a day. There is a constant rotation of items up for sale, some hysterically bad, but sometimes you luck yourself into the perfect seller at the perfect time, and the best sellers are the ones who have tried their hand at your craft and also happen to have a large, dusty shed. Enter this pork pie little squealer. 12 inches by 5 inches of maple attitude. My path, suddenly one of finding curious little snare drums, happened to cross this one of a young lady who appeared to be clearing out her shed. She uncovered a corner of musical equipment with a pair of ZHT hi-hats on a low-budget stand, a snare drum on another low-budget stand, and some other low-end gear. All of this appropriately labeled music stuff on the Facebook Marketplace listing for $80. So I jumped at the opportunity and offered $40 for just the snare and the stand, which she happily accepted. So we met in a gas station parking lot, as is customary, as I was a little surprised to see that she not only brought out the snare drum and stand, but also the ZHT hi-hats on their stand too. I must have had a surprised look on my face because she asked, "This is what you wanted, right?" To which I quickly answered with a chuckle, "Of course!" So now I have somehow amassed 4 hi-hat stands at the time of this video, and some ZHTs, I guess. I knew right out of the gate that this thing was pretty dirty just by the photos in the listing. I was hoping I didn't need to do much in the way of cleaning, but that changed pretty quickly once I got into it. Thankfully it wasn't super rusty, just a little on the tension rods, but that's fine. Arizona's dry climate is pretty kind to drums. Anyway, let's get intimate with this little piggy, shall we? First, I took a nice detailed visual inspection. Nothing too crazy, looks just like normal wear and tear. Looks like this thing was played a fair amount, actually. The heads came off, the slightly busted snare wires came off, hoops came off, even the one with a slightly bent snare gate, which I didn't feel as much of an issue. Bearing edges felt great, and the interior looks amazing. Definitely higher grade maple here. Interestingly, the snare beds were super shallow. I almost didn't even notice them by feel. Might make that mod at a later date, but not anytime soon. Of course, the de-lugging, well, we gotta commence that, and I really like these lugs. Sure, they're just cast zinc, but that bow tie shape is just iconic. Something bow tie on a pig. They're cool. Not my absolute favorite lug design, that title belongs to any lug ever made by Sonar, but definitely high on the list. Even the gaskets feel great, not overly hard. But now about this throw-off. Visually, I love this thing. Mechanically, I love the idea, but after screwing around with it, as you'll hear about later in the video, this was the point of most frustration in the entire restoration. It feels solid, has a little bit of buildup in the recesses of the snare tension knob, and the grease should probably be redone, and the throw-off lever is missing the rubber tip. It's not really that surprising. I actually reached out to Pork Pie via email in the middle of making this video, asking if there was a chance I could get a replacement tip, and to my surprise, the head hog himself, Bill Dedamore, responded the next day. Unfortunately, the response that he had was that he didn't use this throw-off anymore, and he sent me a link to one almost exactly like it from Drum Factory Direct, except it didn't have the pork pie embossing on the side. I guess my next order from DFD is going to include that throw-off, but for now, the original one here is, well, it's going to have to do. The attention to detail is really, really nice on this drum. Even the butt plate has this custom bow tie design, which I'll show later, but now that this babe is naked, and the shell feels surprisingly strong, yet light at the same time, it's easily one of my favorite maple drum shells that I own. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick wipe down to knock off any remaining loose dirt inside and out, then a quick pass on the outside with just a wet paper towel. I want to be as mild as possible when cleaning the finish off the shell to preserve that nice walnut flavor. The hoops also get a pass with the moist towel, but they'll still get a sponge bath in the sink with the rest of the hardware. Just a small amount of dings along the edge of the snare side hoop. Not even going to do the Sharpie trick here, since it'll really never be seen. One of the interesting parts was noticing how the folds of the head at the collar that were touching the batter hoop had somehow left their mark along the inside. Must have been from the exposure of being unprotected in the shed for a while. I don't know, but it kind of left a cool pattern. It's a hardware pool party and everybody's invited. Everything gets broken down quite a bit and pre-soaked in some warm, soapy water. Here's that butt plate for the snare wires. I really love this design, and the integrated nuts on the inside is just chef's kiss. It's wonderful. This was a weird decision, but I felt like the best option was to scrub the throw off as best as I could and not take it to the sink for a deeper cleaning with the rest of the hardware. And that reason hinged on the fact that I didn't have any grease or lubricant to replace the old stuff. I didn't want to remove the old grease, so I just gave it as best of a cleaning as I could everywhere else with a soapy paper towel. And when I got to the buildup on the knob, at first trying to pick at it with a thumbtack, but I found a better solution with a brass bristle brush. It worked perfectly. And as I let the other parts soak, I put the throw off and butt plate right back on the drum. Wow, these lugs look so much better. I mean, they're not without their imperfections, but those are masked a lot more now that they're shiny. They kind of suck to reassemble, but all lugs with swivels do. Best way I found is to drop the swivel in the correct orientation and then poke at it with a screwdriver until it drops through the hole.
Experience my balls.
If it's a hollow lug, I'm gonna fill it with my white fluffy balls. Each of these lugs can take a full ball. Just gotta use your fingers to massage it in. After that, the simple process of reinstalling them on the shell. Another quick towel wipe, and the shell's shiny jewelry sits with that tasty walnut finish nicely. My attention to detail goes all the way down to the nylon washers, too. The original ones have not held up too well over the years, so they're gonna get replaced by my favorite Danmar washer inserts. I use these on all of my drums. So this was day one, and I'm just waiting for the new heads and new snare wires to arrive. I had to wait, but you don't. In the box are the heads. Thank you, Sweetwater, for the one-day delivery for the heads. That was fast. I ordered the heads, but then I immediately realized I forgot the snare wires, so I went back to order them 5 minutes later. The heads came the next day. The snare wires took 3 days? I mean, both orders looked like they went through the same distribution center here in Arizona. No idea why the difference in shipping times. Not complaining by any means, I just found it odd. Anyway, the heads are a Remo Ambassador snare side and an Evans HD Dry. Sweetwater didn't have any Evans snare side heads in 12 inches, so I went with Remo. I'll just fix that later with some acetone and a Sharpie. TuneBot has joined the party as I bring the snare side head up to tension. Now the keen-eyed of you might have noticed something wrong here. As I do drum CPR to seat the head, let's see if you notice. Oh, I'm undoing the tension rods. Why could that be? Yep, I did the thing. I didn't align the gates with the throw-off. That is certainly the very first time I've ever done that, and it's not something that's ever happened before. Man, there's just something so refreshing about putting on a brand new drum head, and these HD dry heads are, in my opinion, the best. Cuts down on unwanted overtones while letting the drums sing. I always run my snares wide open, no muffling, and it still has a lot of sensitivity even for a 2-ply head. Now, where are those wires? Ah, there they are. Yeah, I went ahead and sprung for the pure sounds. The stock wires would have still done just fine, even though they were missing a couple of strands, but I really wanted to give this snare the best opportunity to shine with that fantastic maple shell. These wires came with the cable setup, which I've never had good luck with, but I thought I'd give it a shot once again. Now remember how I talked a bit about the throw-off earlier? Well, this thing really showed its true colors here. I'm not even joking. I messed with this thing for over an hour. An hour! I've never had this much frustration with a throw-off before, and I really think it boils down to me just not re-lubing the damn thing. Well, part of it was also because of the cables, which didn't play well with the throw-off, and the throw-off was getting stuck on itself, and the tensioning was all off because it wasn't laying on the head the right way because the snare beds are being too shallow, and... You know what? I finally gave up and just wanted to get a good, somewhat adjustable snare sound. I was able to find some straps from another Pure Sound set that I ordered a while ago, the ones that have the cotter pin. I still can't get the damn thing to have the snares completely off the bottom head, but in the end, I think I managed to finally achieve a workable setup. But yeah, over an hour adjusting snare wires? That's definitely a first for me. And now, after all of that, let's hear the war cries of this little piggy.